This is Spence and Keyframe present Bad Movie Club. And we're doing this again. Was this
It's
4?
almost as if it's a weekly thing.
Right. This is 4, isn't it?
Yeah, it is 4.
Right. I think we should tell people that this is no longer going to be on SoundCloud because they're dicks.
Yeah, we're moving.
We're moving house. We're no longer on SoundCloud because they want paying. I mean, we're not opposed to that, but we don't make money off this. But if we did, then we would. But
Yeah,
so
I don't make money off of anything that I do.
I do, but I'm not happy about it. Cleaning toilets is not a fun thing. But we're going to move to YouTube. So look us up on YouTube. Give us a like and share whatever YouTubers do.
YouTube will give us a good opportunity to do other things as well as the podcast on that channel.
Yeah, true. And like before, I don't want to like spend hours ripping on YouTubers, but I want to clarify: we're not YouTubers, are we?
No,
we're not rapists.
No, we don't go around raping people, and we don't go around
make fake prank videos and
conceding that isn't everybody just perfect and have a good day even though you're probably feeling like shit.
And we don't want YouTube drama. So this is like a disclaimer, because we're hosting it on YouTube, we're not considered YouTubers. I just did air quotations like a fucking C.
And we don't ever want to be considered.
No, please don't.
That.
Like, we use YouTube as like a platform to host our content, basically. That's all it is to us. It's not
like, a platform to exploit people.
Yeah, we're not into that. So that's just a disclaimer. So, yay disclaimers. Ha. Right, before we get into our theme, we're just going to talk about some latest...
And what is
news.
our theme this week?
Well, this week we're doing a bit of time travelling. Where are we going, Elliot?
We're going back to the 90s.
Elliot loves the 90s.
Dude, I love the 90s.
Right, you do realise that we're no longer in the 90s. They were quite a long time away. You could say they were almost 16 years ago.
What do you mean?
Right, what do you mean?
You mean it's not the 90s anymore?
Right, the 90s ended, mate.
I can't handle this kind of news at this time of the morning.
But they're no longer a thing. The 90s ended.
In spirit.
Oh. But yeah, we're going to talk about 90s films.
Spirit.
We get it, in spirit. We're going to talk about 90s films. Like, we've both chosen some 90s films that we have seen and we love. And we both chose one film that we haven't seen, but we watched just for this podcast to talk about. So that's going to be interesting. So, like, for mine's fresh in my mind. I'm not going to say what it is yet, but it's fresh in my mind. So, I've still got some stuff to talk about it. But first we're just going to do, like, weekly movie news. And this week we found it a bit hard because we didn't kind of want to talk about what is in the news. That is Civil War and Batman vs Superman. And as I said in previous podcasts, I'm a big, massive Marvel fanboy. Read all the comics, watch all the films, yada, yada, yada. But I think I should spend a separate podcast talking about that after I've seen it and after I've had all my fanboy reactions, because I've been watching a lot of clips of it, even though I know I shouldn't, and I just keep fanboying, and even now I'm talking about it, and know I'm trying to avoid talking about it, so I'm just going to stop. So we haven't got much in the way of like movie news this week, but what we have got is quite interesting. So what's the first movie news we have, Elliot?
There's an image from the new Alien movie, which I haven't seen that image.
I've seen the image. It's just like I don't know what you call them, like you know how the military have badges on their sleeves?
Yeah. It's
like that. It's like a spaceship kind of looking badge, and it looks very I don't know how to explain it. It looks like it belongs in that universe, that kind of design of it. And I haven't heard much about this new Alien film. I think they've done quite well to keep it secret.
Yeah.
I mean, just today you told me Ridley Scott's directing it, so I've kind of got some hope and some non-hope for it, because he still did Prometheus.
I mean, it did start out as it was going to be like a Prometheus type of sequel, but now it's supposed to be very much closely related to Alien.
I would prefer if it was related to Alien, because don't get me wrong, Prometheus was good, it just wasn't great.
I really didn't care for it at all.
I don't know where they were trying. I don't know what they were trying to say with it, because I don't know what they were trying to. Were they trying to set up the engineers or the aliens? I didn't like pick one and stick with them, and there was quite a few plot holes. Like we already saw a tapestry in that temple place in Prometheus of the alien queen. So how can it be a prequel saying this is how they created when you've already shown them existing? Like, come on, guys. But one thing I do like about it is you can watch Prometheus then watch Alien straight after, and it kind of makes sense.
I haven't tried that.
Have you not tried it? It's quite fun, because I have Alien on Blu-ray, and I love it because it's so crisp when they're actually exploring the spaceship where they found the egg. And in previous cuts of Alien, that was quite hard to make out what it all looked like. So in this version, it's really cool. But we hold Alien very high up, don't we?
Yeah, it's one of my favourite films.
I heard when it was first released, like, it made people faint out of terror in the cinema, which I find quite funny.
That's always a good time. People fainting after seeing your film. I'd love that kind of reaction for something that I did.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing a horror, if you did a comedy, it'd be quite insulting.
I'd quite like to see what that's like, having somebody faint from laughter.
I wonder if that's ever happened in a film.
They just get so lightheaded that they pass out.
I can't remember the last film I watched where I was properly chuckling for. Well, I think it was Deadpool, to be fair.
Yeah.
I was chuckling all the way through it.
Certainly as far as new films are concerned.
Yeah.
That's the funniest one I've seen in a long time.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. I mean, when I try and think of funny films, like, I have a very niche sense of humour, I guess. Like, I find things funny, I just don't laugh. I do what everyone else does, I just exhale air through my nose.
Yeah, that's usually my laughing
Yeah,
technique.
like, you know when you're on Twitter and you see a meme you find amusing, you don't laugh, you just, like, go with your nose, don't you?
Unless it's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
And you're a bit weird because you're sleep deprived and you're just mental.
Suddenly everything's hilarious. I told you about that time I watched the Joaquin Phoenix documentary. I think it's called I'm Still Here, which was like this social experiment that him and Casey Affleck were doing. And I was watching it like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had somewhere to be in a few hours. So I just decided I'll pull an all-nighter then.
Yeah, I do that.
And then the next thing I knew, I was laughing at things that I'm sure probably weren't even funny.
You know when you stay awake so late, you just know, like, I've got to be up in a couple of hours. There's just no point in sleeping. I do that.
It's easier to stay up until 6 a.m. than it is to go to sleep and then wake up at 6 a.m.
Definitely, yeah. And then, like, you know, you can definitely go to sleep the following night because you'll have no issues with that.
Oh, you'll definitely be going to sleep.
Oh, yeah. I did that the other night when I was watching Minecraft videos. I don't know why I was doing it. I was just really bored. It was like 4 a.m.
Was it Matt G's?
No, they're actually a group of YouTubers which I do quite like because they don't do the whole YouTube drama bullshit. They're just very sensible and very funny at the same time. They're called Mindcrack, and they do interesting gameplay videos. My favourite one is called Good, and he's just like this southerner, and you'd expect him to be a very stereotypical American southerner, but he's very left-wing. So it's quite funny to hear a southern accent saying left-wing things, and he's just a funny guy. He tells like really cool stories about his life. He's had an interesting life, so I really enjoy those videos. But I was just watching one of his videos late at night about Minecraft, and I don't know, he wasn't even making funny stuff. I was just chuckling. I think I needed sleep, but I was just at that point where you couldn't. We went on a weird tangent there. I don't think our tangents would be as weird as last week's podcast.
No, they were questionable, Kieran, weren't they?
Right, I said some things. I'm going to stand by them. I'm not going to repeat what I said, but I'm standing by them.
I'm standing by everything I said as well.
You always stand by everything you say.
Yeah.
The second bit of movie news, which is something I'm quite pleased about, and that's they're doing a animated movie. You just snuck a sausage roll there, didn't you? We do eat during this podcast, which is very unprofessional, but we just don't care. But yeah, they're doing an animated movie of one of my favourite Batman comics of all time. I know this is quite weird for me to talk about because I spend quite a lot of time I'm a Marvel fanboy, but at the same time I'm a DC fanboy as well, so don't get me wrong. But my favourite DC comic is Batman the Killing Joke, which inspired a lot of Batman content throughout the years. It was Tim Burton's inspiration for his Batman film. He based his Joker on Batman the Killing Joke's Joker. And this is one of my favourite comics because it's kind of like an origin story of the Joker, and it does it so well you don't actually get an origin story, but you do at the same time. It's so brilliantly executed because everyone wants to know where the Joker came from, and all we really know is that he was the Red Hood. He was robbing his chemicals. Batman stopped him. He fell into a pit of acid of chemicals and it turned him into the Joker. But there was events leading up to it which was already sending him crazy. Like his wife, who was pregnant, died because I think an electronic device dropped in the bath or something. I can't quite remember. But the police informed him that it's like a 1 in a million chance of that death happening, which kind of sent him a bit crazy. He lost his job. He is a failed comedian. So it was just quite interesting. And this is one of the darkest Batman comics I've ever read, when you get the Joker shooting Barbara Gordon in the spine.
Yeah, you just showed me that panel.
Yeah. this stripper naked, and then he puts the photos on a roller coaster, and then makes her father look at these photos. It's pretty dark, but it's one of the best Batman comics of all time. But the reason I want to talk about it is because it's an R-rated animated film, and I think we have seen recently that R-rated comic book films work. Hence Deadpool.
Yeah, they definitely work.
So I am quite hyped to see this, because the last comic to animated film I watched was Batman Year One, and they basically got it shot for shot off the comic in the animated version. So I was very, very pleased with that.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing this actually,
because it looks amazing. And I said this is one of the best stories. Another good animated DC film, which is an amazing story from the Batman franchise, is Under the Red Hood, and that's about the second Robin, Jason Todd, was killed by the Joker. The Joker beat him to death with a crowbar, basically. Quite brutal. But then he was resurrected from the dead. In different variations of the story, there's different versions of how he was resurrected. But the most common one was one of Batman's arch nemesis called Ra's al Ghul resurrected him because he felt guilty because he was responsible for his death. And then after his resurrection, he was a bit, warped in the head, and he basically decided he was going to be a better Batman. So he's basically a Batman that kills. And of course, Batman's against killing, which was brutally ruined in Batman vs Superman. Well, that's another topic for another day. But that's another really interesting story, and there's an animated film about that, and it's got one of my favourite characters from the Batman universe in it, and that's Nightwing, who was the first Robin, and he just decided, fuck you, Batman, I'm sick of living in your shadow, I'm going to be my own superhero, and became a badass superhero. But that's really all we have to say about latest movie news, unless you've heard anything recently.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
It's been a slow week for movie news. Most of it's just been about, Batman vs Superman was good. No, it wasn't, though, was it? It just wasn't. Stop saying that. You're wrong. You are wrong to say that. Shall we time travel now to the 90s?
We won't do that right away because we've got a question for the first time.
Oh yeah, we have a question.
In 4 weeks of doing this podcast.
So we actually have a question sent in from a good friend of ours, Charlie,
which
AKA...
we won't expect him on this week because we were doing a special, so...
Yeah, true. But I asked for questions because I just thought it'd be interesting to have a question segment. So this question's from Charlie, AKA the Whovian Avenger. And he asked, how do we decide what terrible films we're going to pan? So how do we decide that, Elliot?
Just have a list of notoriously bad films that we can pick and choose from at any given time. Like this week, because we were doing the 90s special, I looked at what the worst films from the 90s were, and because I didn't want to put myself through Showgirls, and because I didn't want to put you through Showgirls, or even talk remotely about Showgirls, a lot of them were video game adaptations like Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah, in my experience, video game adaptations don't work.
I don't think I've ever seen one that's remotely reasonable.
The Hitman films aren't that bad.
I didn't see any of them.
But they're not that great either, but you're not really much of a gamer anyway, are you?
No, I'm not at all. Except for Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
Which is the shit.
Classic, though. That's a classic.
It's Grand Theft Auto for kids.
It really is. It's an amazing game.
Also Shrek Super Slam.
Oh, what's another one? Which I don't think's that bad. Well, the first Resident Evil wasn't that bad. After that, they needed to stop, and they still need to stop because I believe they're doing another one.
It's the last one, though, to be fair. So,
well, it should end that way. But I think the Resident Evil games themselves went rapidly downhill after 4.
I only played 4.
4 was good. I liked 4. 3 was good. 2 was one of the best, and first one was a classic because it's the first.
Wasn't Silent Hill fairly decent, actually?
The movies are okay. I will give them that.
I didn't see the second one. I thought the first one had a good atmosphere.
Yeah, but Silent Hill are those kind of games like Resident Evil where you're not meant to be fighting the bad guys. You're meant to be running for your fucking life. And that's what I like about those games. I like a good horror survival game.
Yeah.
And even though you're not much of a gamer, I like these games because they're almost like a movie you're playing at the same time. And the best one so far in recent years, I will have to say, is Alien Isolation, which it's a really good game because you play as Ripley's daughter, and she's trying to figure out what the fuck happened, and then she gets stuck on this space base with aliens, and it's really good. You get a proper alien vibe from it because there's just scenes where you're fucking. I was literally shaking holding my controller because you have the little detection thing they have from the second one, and you know the aliens nearby. Like fucking hell, it's gonna get me. And if it sees you, it just runs up to you and it stabs you through it's brilliantly executed, that game is. Another good kind of horror survival, I won't say horror survival because there is a bit of action in it, is The Last of Us, which is a really, really good game.
Somebody on Facebook posted that they've played that game through 5 times now.
Oh, it's an amazing game. If that wasn't a movie...
If I were a gamer, I would definitely play it.
Yeah. But... also, with the way we choose the bad films, it depends on our theme of the week. Like you said, it was the 90s this week, and we just normally, we just know some films that are bad, and we just think it'll be entertaining to talk about them.
Yeah, especially if you haven't seen them before.
Yeah, true.
Like we'd never seen Samurai Cop when we first did that.
And the thing is, sometimes we have like a mixed experience when we watch these bad films, like Samurai Cop. Even though it's an awful film, we love it, don't we? We absolutely adore that film.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
Don't accuse me of that.
You do. You just won't admit. And also, we love The Room. You got to admit, you love The Room.
Yeah, of course I do. It's hilarious.
Exactly. The Room is amazing.
It's one of the best comedies ever made.
I did not hit her. I did not.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Oh, brilliant. But also, we do watch some bad films and we just want to tear our eyes out, aka Blood Car. And what's coming later. Oh, this is the reason people kill. But shall we now? Can we time travel to the 90s? Can we get in our DeLorean and hit 88 miles per hour?
We can, and I'll tell you what I love about the 90s so much.
I think this is Elliot's podcast this week because he just loves the 90s.
I am 90s man.
Take it away, Elliot. I'm going to pour myself a drink.
What I really love about the 90s in terms of the films that came out and actually the music, while I wouldn't say this is the objective best decade for film, it is my favourite.
I personally think it's one of the best decades for film.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been much that has topped any 90s film.
No.
Don't get me wrong, there has been good films since the 90s.
They've usually felt like they could have been made in the 90s though, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. I felt this film could have been a 90s film.
Yeah.
Like, cause I think I've said before, like, films that are plastered in CGI kind of piss me off now.
I felt like Deadpool could have been a 90s film.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
with its sense of humour.
Yeah.
And Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she had that 90s vibe.
She was totally one of those, like, that gothy 90s girl that you see in the film who's really sassy and cool.
And also, if you told me Jessica Jones was released in the 90s...
Oh, yeah, I totally would have thought that Jessica Jones was like a 90s TV show.
I love 90s girls, they're just so badass.
Yeah, they're the best types of girls. The 90s, to me, was like the last real decade for film and for music where it was okay to let the freak flag fly, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It was a lot more acceptable to be very different. Just look at like the popular directors that came out at the time and the not necessarily as popular directors. So you would have someone like David Fincher, who we're not really covering this time because we're going to do him as a special.
Yeah.
You take his films, then you take like Paul Thomas Anderson and what they were doing in the kind of sort of rivalry that was going on with them. Think about like the emergence of Quentin Tarantino and that all those throwbacks that he was putting in and all the types of dialogue. We will be talking about him later. And then you think about the likes of Tim Burton and Wes Anderson that had this quirkier, more aesthetic driven type of style, and we'll be talking about both of them as well. And even Sofia Coppola came in right at the end there with 1999 when she did The Virgin Suicides, which I didn't really love, so that's why I didn't choose it as a film at this time. Think about Sofia Coppola, and then Spike Jonze came out with being John Malkovich same year, and Spike Lee was doing films. I mean, he was doing films in the 80s, but in the 90s is when he did like Malcolm X, and he was working with Denzel Washington like every other film. So it was just looking at the directors at the time, like that alone, there was like a diverse sense of like different types of movies you were getting from more mainstream filmmakers and from the not saying underground, but the just under the major filmmakers. There was a lot of diversity with the types of films that were coming out, and it was a really brilliant year. It was a really brilliant decade for teen films. The entire landscape of the teen film pre-American Pie.
What's Mean Girls?
No, that was 2003.
But I also feel like that could have been 90s.
Oh, easily. Like, I think you can... the first 3-4 years of like the 2000s was still like heavily.
Oh yeah.
But like pre-American Pie, like it was the decade for teen movies, in my opinion. You'd have films like The Craft, where you'd have films like The Craft, and you'd have films like Ginger Snaps, which are more horror-driven and reflective of what it's like to be a teenage girl. And all these films came out like post Heathers, which I think was 1989. And then you'd also have films like Rushmore, which I'm going to be talking about later. So it was a very, very interesting decade for films.
Do you not think the 90s was the last decade where you kind of had a generational culture?
Yeah, it was the last time there was any kind of real youth counterculture.
Yes.
You don't really have that anymore. I'm not entirely sure why that's dissipated.
It's weird that disappeared. I think people tried to create a youth counterculture.
Yeah.
That's why we have like emo kids, scene kids, goth kids, but it just doesn't work like it did in the 90s for some strange reason. It fizzled.
I think a part of it is due to like the fashion industry made counterculture this palatable thing. So now you can go to like Primark and buy a shirt that says geek or goth on it.
I don't agree with that. I don't find like when I see people wearing like geek on their shirt, like but you're not, are you? You just why? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so it's like become this really cool thing to be a part of a counterculture, which means that it's died because the idea of a counterculture was you were part of like a small group of people that you all felt the same, you all felt like underdogs, and now also maybe with the rise of the internet as well, like
I think the internet did kill a lot of counterculture.
Yeah.
Or it made it go online so it doesn't feel like it's a part of society anymore.
No, like I'm still on Tumblr and I follow a load of like crust punks who talk about like all sorts of like social issues and listen to like kind of folk punk bands, and none of them actually know each other in real life.
Yeah.
They're all just connected through the internet. So in one way that's kind of like, that's cool. Like you can reach out to people the same as you from different corners of the world, but I just don't think you see it anymore. Like
you don't
going
see
out.
it, you hear it, you don't see it.
No. The idea of youth culture and counterculture to me is not a bunch of grebs drinking in the fucking river gardens. Let's end that shit.
Yeah, that's not counterculture, that's just being a twat. Also from the 90s, I think cartoons were at their peak.
Oh yeah?
Because you had like the animated series of Spider-Man, Batman, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for fuck's sake. Even though like there was a good series in 2003 as well, which is also kind of a 90s cultural thing. Would definitely watch that and think, yeah, that's 90s.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli and Pixar released some of their best films.
Oh yeah, I mean, I joke about how I hate Pixar. I don't actually fucking love Pixar.
Yeah.
So Pixar, like, they released amazing content in the 90s.
Bug's Life and Toy Story 1 came out then.
I've actually seen Bug's Life more than I've seen Toy Story.
Oh yeah?
Because I don't know why, but I just love I love the casting in Bug's Life as well.
It's been a long time since I've seen that. I need to revisit that at some point.
I don't know, something about the little guy standing out amongst all of them.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to a lot of people, so...
I think that's reflective of 90s films in general, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just very 90s. Do you want to start with your first 90s film you want to talk about?
Yeah, so the three films that I chose that I already liked, and then obviously I chose one that I hadn't seen before, but the three films that I chose are all among some of my favourite films of all time. And the first one I decided to go for was Edward Scissorhands, because that was the first one of the three that I ever watched. So I saw Edward Scissorhands when it was not long after Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and everyone was obsessed with Johnny Depp. So I saw Edward Scissorhands, it was like really cheap, and we bought it, and I must have been maybe 8-9 years old, and then I put it on, and it's just become a film that I've watched a lot throughout my life.
I can't say much. I don't think I've seen parts of Edward Scissorhands. I've not seen it all the way through.
Okay.
Is it true that he doesn't have a lot of words in it? Like he has like a little over 100 or something words in it?
Yeah, and actually that brings me to one of the points I want to make. The strength of Johnny Depp in the 90s was that he was playing very minimalistic, silent characters. He's a really brilliant silent actor. And so the reason that he's gone downhill recently is because he's not playing he's playing the antithesis of those types of characters.
Yeah, he's too I won't say too big, but his roles are too big in his films to the point where it's like, yeah, obviously you're the main character, calm down.
he's better at the more silent, brooding, and underdog kind of roles, and Edward Scissorhands is a reflection of being.
I think Tim Burton
on the outside
tried to do that with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah,
but I just don't think it worked in that film, in that environment.
No,
because I didn't really. I mean, I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book. I didn't really like the film.
No, I don't like either of the films actually.
Oh, the original. I don't really care for the original.
No,
everyone kind of make it out like it's like this classic. I don't think it's much of a classic at all.
No, I don't care for it. What Johnny Depp really nails in this film is making a character who has scissors for hands very sympathetic, and the way that he carries himself in this film with the sort of the awkward stance that he has and the really minimal silent, like almost silent tone of voice. He makes the awkwardness and he makes the solemn feel of this character really come to life. So his presence looms over the film without him ever really being too strong in it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of the right word, but I'm all scatterbrained right now.
You just got Johnny Depp going through your mind, haven't you?
I do. Back when Johnny Depp was the man.
I don't really know any good film he's done lately.
No, they tried to make Black Mass's like comeback film.
Didn't see that. I think the last one I saw of his was fucking Lone Ranger, or was it Lone Ranger called? He fucking played the Tonto and it was awful.
Yeah. Oh, maybe Rango. He did the voice for Rango.
Oh, Rango. I do like Rango. Rango's got a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, I quite liked Rango.
But then again, it was only a voice, but still a good voice.
What I really love about Edward Scissorhands is it's kind of like a fairy tale and like a fable, and much like any good fairy tale or fable, it's got a almost sort of social conscience to it. It's reflective of certain issues in our society. So Edward Scissorhands is very American. It's very reflective to me of American culture. The setting of it is this very suburban, pastel painted house kind of neighbourhood, and you've got this sort of religious fanatic character. You've got the nuclear family that Edward Scissorhands is brought into.
Religion's in it.
Only sort of like
religion,
like a smidgen. So it's got all those things that you typically associate with American culture. I'm just going to ignore you and look at my notes because I can't think straight whatsoever.
It kind of mimics, and would you say it also mocks American culture of that time, or is it kind of like?
I think it uses it as the backdrop.
Right, I get it.
And says something about being the outsider and
I like the way it looks, like the way it like visually looks to me.
Yeah,
I kind of like that kind of theme.
The like juxtaposition of that gothic noir and then this pastel coloured, like almost Pleasantville type of.
Yeah, like it's like you know how the 90s always looked like bright and vibrant and happy, but it was actually a very
also
dark
murky
time.
And
because there's a lot of like Cold War stuff going off then.
Yeah.
So that's a good juxtaposition between like Cold War, oh we're all gonna be nuked, to everything's fine. Smile guys. Look, I made a pie. That's just my opinion of the 90s. Just women at home making pies, afraid of being nuked.
Wouldn't we all be afraid of being nuked? We'd all make pies in that situation.
I kind of want to make a pie now.
I don't really like pies, but apple pie I'll go for anytime.
Oh, I want an apple pie now.
Ultimately, what this film does is it reflects society's obsession with the outsider and of the underdog, and then their exploitation of them, and finally the exile. I think there's like a 3-part step that goes on. So
I should probably watch it start to finish, because I've watched it.
Definitely give it a go. Definitely give it a go.
Ever since the podcast, I have started watching more films that I would never normally watch, mainly for Bad Movie Club and for other stuff as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about one of my films now. Yay!
Is it? Which one?
Jurassic Park.
Okay, you take it away, Kieran.
Right, the thing is for Jurassic Park, me, it's in my top 10, definitely, because before I was even into film like I am now, Jurassic Park was one of my favourite films of all time. You just snuck some crisps there. But when I was growing up, I adored Jurassic Park. I was too young to see it at a cinema. I don't even think I was born. Was it 95 it was released?
93. Same year as Schindler's List.
So I was definitely not born. Yeah, which is interesting because it's both a Spielberg work. So they contrast each other amazingly. It's like one's really dark and depressing, and one's I won't say Jurassic Park's dark, but it's almost a family film, but like a thriller family film. And the thing is, I love about growing up, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. My granddad would buy me dinosaur books. I think it's a normal thing for a kid to be obsessed with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So this film to me was amazing. And I still remember to this day the very first time I saw the Jurassic Park scene as a kid. I was sat on the sofa and I was absolutely so scared for those people. I was like, oh my god, Dad, are they going to die? Are they going to die? Because at the time, as a kid, watching a kid almost being eaten by a T-Rex, that was fucking amazing. And like growing up, I've just researched so much about Jurassic Park to the point where I respect it more and more each time I learn something new about it. Which brings me to the reason why I just don't care for Jurassic World, because it just didn't capture the feeling of Jurassic Park. I'm probably aware that they were trying to go for a different feel they wanted you to get whilst watching it, but I don't think they should have done that. Hence the reason Force Awakens worked, because it basically did what A New Hope did. So if they wanted Jurassic World to work, they should have done what Jurassic Park did. And I think they tried by having the kids and then like a distant kind of like relative.
That never clicked with me when I watched Jurassic World. It felt very shoehorned in.
It did, because it would kind of do what they did with the first one with the kids, you know, using Dr. Sadler as kind of their father figure through the film, and him then bonding with kids and like, oh, well, I love kids now, kind of thing. And they tried to do that in Jurassic World. I can't remember the characters of Jurassic World because I just don't care for it.
No,
if I don't care for a film, I'm not going to make an effort to remember the fucking characters' names.
Yeah.
And right now I'm actually struggling to remember the kids' names from Jurassic Park, but we'll come back to that later. So I don't like how they tried to make me feel how I was meant to feel. It's like you're not trying hard. You just no, it doesn't work because it hasn't got the right environment around it. But Jurassic Park, what I loved is it was the very first. Also, I won't say it's the very first time, but it was a step forward in CGI being right, because they did a brilliant mixture of CGI and animatronics.
Effects,
yeah. Like the T-Rex, they had like in the scene where he's attacking the car, they had to stop every now and then because the rain, the sprinklers were slowing down the robotics, so they had to stop and tow down this big fucking T-Rex, which is fucking hilarious to me. And they were originally going to use stop motion, but then Spielberg saw the CGI and was like, this is better. And the stop motion animator guy, and he saw the CGI and he said, this is going to put me out of a job. And Spielberg turned around and said, don't you mean extinct? And they thought that was so funny, they put it in the film. So that's where that line's from, and I just love stuff like that. But Jurassic Park, I think, was one of the best films in the 90s because it was just such a fun family film to watch with an amazing story. Like, there's very little bad about it, to the point where I think it was just amazingly executedly brilliant, because I just love how it made you feel scared and entertained at the same time, especially in the kitchen scene where it's Ellie is trying to put the shutter down because the Velociraptor is running at her, and she's like, fuck, it's going to eat me alive, and then it's not, it's a reflection, and you feel so relieved. And it kind of made dinosaurs cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of dinosaurs, and I'm a big fan of Jeff Goldblum.
Oh god, yes. He is amazing in that film.
That laugh that he does on the plane.
Arr, 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 arr. He's brilliant for that film. The chaos theory. And I understand why he got the main role in the sequel. I mean, the sequel's not as good as the first one, but if I had to like a sequel of Jurassic Park, it would be the second one, because the third one not so great. Even though that was the first film I ever saw in cinema, and I just didn't. Now I don't care for it. As a kid, I fucking loved it because dinosaurs. But now I know film better. It's not as good, and Jurassic World is just awful. Well, I won't say awful. I just don't care.
Like Jurassic Park, even though it's 23 years old, still feels fresh.
Oh yeah.
And Jurassic World,
it holds up.
Synthetic and
yes, exactly.
Sterile.
You know how I mentioned, like, I don't like films that are just basically conveyor belts of CGI bollocks. That's what I felt Jurassic World was.
Yeah, it's only redeeming quality. It's Chris Pratt, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like Chris Pratt. That's the only redeeming feature about it. And I believe they set it up for a sequel, and I'm like, don't.
Yeah, it's coming out in 2019.
Just leave it as it is.
I think it's coming out.
Because the thing is, Jurassic Park did brilliantly. It kind of did set up for a sequel, but it didn't need to be. Because I like the idea of like, oh, now these dinosaurs have the island, it's theirs. Okay, leave them to it. That's brilliant. It's theirs now, and it does bring up Jeff Goldblum character. I forgot his name. Malcolm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Malcolm. He brings up a good point. And we're at the dinner table discussing what they've done here, and he says, "Your scientists have been too excited, doing what they can do. They haven't stopped to think if they should." And that is extremely a good point, because the science of Jurassic Park is based on a book, which is based on an amber they actually did found of dinosaur DNA in. So theoretically, we do have the technology to resurrect dinosaurs, but do we want to? Because nature has selected them. It is their time. They've gone. They've had their time on this planet. They've gone. So is it right to do this? Do we really want to do this to the world? Do we have the authority to play God, basically? And I like that. He did raise a... Do we have that authority to play God? And I don't think we do. No human being ever should have that power. So I like the fact that they added that in to the mix of the film. And also, weird, there's a bit of a feminist vibe to it, with all the dinosaurs being female and woman inherits the earth. Yeah, and there's another strong female role in it.
Laura Dern, who is an actress that I consistently associate with the 90s. I think she's pretty much synonymous with it.
Oh, yeah, she represents female 90s.
And that brilliant line of dinosaurs eat man, and then she goes, woman inherits the earth.
It's a brilliant line. And even though I know the science in Jurassic Park has been warped, like velociraptors actually... I think scientists have now proven they didn't look like that. They actually had feathers and they were more bird-like. But, for the purpose of the film, who cares? It's entertaining. But in Jurassic World, they kind of try to address that issue of like, oh, we always change them to make it look more appealing to the public. Like, just leave it, mate. Allow it. You know what I mean? It's Jurassic Park. Allow it. That's really all I have to say on Jurassic Park. What's your next film?
My next film, once I get my notes up, because... as I said, scatterbrained.
As I said, organised.
I am organised.
No, you're not.
I so am organised.
What's your next film?
My next film is Rushmore.
Okay.
Now...
not seen it.
Okay, well, you definitely should, because Bill Murray's in it.
Oh. I'm sold.
Yeah, so... right, let's move on to the next one then. Now, Rushmore is, along with Submarine, I don't know if you saw Submarine, the Richard Ayoade film.
Yeah.
That and Submarine are my favourite coming-of-age teen movies of all time. And Rushmore is the number one for me. Now,
okay.
So, I like Wes Anderson in general.
Yeah, he's a good director.
And what makes me gravitate towards Rushmore the most out of his films is it has a certain charm to it. With most Wes Anderson films, you can pinpoint exactly what it is that attracts you to it. With Rushmore, however, there's a certain je ne sais quoi to it. There's like an intangible quality that you can't quite pinpoint.
Are you speaking French to me?
There's an intangible quality to it that you can't quite pinpoint it, but there is something there, and I think maybe it's largely to do with the main character, Max Fisher, who is played by Jason Schwartzman. This was his first ever role. Mm-hmm. Certainly it was his first ever role in a major film. And
has it got the typical Wes Anderson shots in it? Because he likes his symmetry, his leading lines.
It's got elements of that. It's got certain quirks that you would usually associate with Wes Anderson. So it's got ideas in there where you go, oh, that's kind of like a Wes Anderson thing. Like Max Fisher's character is like this sort of, he's trying to be like a playwright, so he puts on these plays that are inspired by films. So at the end of Rushmore, he puts on a play production that is Apocalypse Now.
Ah, right.
And then he does one of Serpico somewhere halfway in the film. It's really, really cool. The character of Max Fisher is a summation, I think, of being a teenager in general. He's got this charismatic smoothness to him, and he's very funny. This film's got some really cool one-liners, but I'll get to that in a minute. But he's also ashamed of parts of his life. So he lies about his dad being a brain surgeon. His dad's actually a barber. So there's that joke going on.
Close.
Yeah, they both work with heads, don't they?
I mean, they both put sharp objects towards a head.
Yeah. And so I'll get to the quotes. There's a it's the first. So he meets this teacher or this librarian. I can't remember which one it was. Even though I've seen the film loads of times in the last year. But he sort of falls in love with this. There is a I'm going all over the place, aren't I? The plot of this film is that this is like this love triangle between him, Herman Bloom, who's played by Bill Murray, who becomes friends with Max Fisher because he just thinks he's this really interesting kid. But Herman Bloom's going through this like midlife crisis, and then there's this librarian, or this teacher, and Max Fisher falls in love with her, and Herman Bloom also falls in love with her, and she's had like a sort of tragic past, like her husband died before then, and how Max Fisher finds her is that he finds this book, and there's like something related to her, so he brings it to her, and it was a book that she gave to Rushmore, this academy, because it was her dead husband's book.
Right.
And so there's that love triangle between them, and he's constantly trying to impress this teacher. He finds out that she really loves Latin, and so one of the jokes is at Rushmore Academy they're thinking of stopping Latin being taught, so he goes out of his way to save Latin, and there's this cool line where it's like, "I saved Latin, what did you ever do?" And there's another scene where they're around a dinner table. It's him, her, and Bill Murray, and also Luke Wilson, who's playing a male nurse. And Luke Wilson's talking about, these are called OR scrubs. And Max Fisher goes, "Oh, are they?"
Oh.
And then just a shot of Bill Murray just trying to hold it down.
What? And this is a film of puns.
There's some puns. There's just such brilliant chemistry between like the three main characters that are in this weird love triangle. Max Fisher eventually gets kicked out of Rushmore because his grades are awful, and all he does is spend his time like on clubs and writing plays and stuff. So he gets put into a normal high school, which is, I don't want to talk too much about that because you haven't seen the film, but it's pretty funny. And he tries to get them to do fencing as part of like the high school curriculum.
I've done fencing once. That was an experience I'm never going to forget.
But where I'd like to end talking about Rushmore, because you haven't seen it yet, is I wish I'd seen this film when I was like 14 or 15 instead of when I was 18, because maybe I could have gotten used to the idea of being an awkward person.
Huh. Yeah, I guess. Oh, you're never going to get used to that though, are you?
It's not going to happen.
Oh, shall I talk about one of mine now?
Yeah, which one are you going for?
I'm going to save that one for last, and I'm going to go for Terminator 2.
Okay.
Well, I think this is interesting, the fact that I'm talking about Terminator 2, because last podcast we did kind of rip into James Cameron quite a bit, because we have good reason to, because he made Avatar.
Yeah. And Titanic.
Oh, yeah, not Spielberg, right? I know that now. I don't know why I get those two confused. But Terminator 2, to me, it's a correct way to make a cool action film. And I think a lot of action films are kind of replicate what they've done right in Terminator 2 in their own films and failing. Because one scene springs to mind is the hallway scene where T2 has gone to that mental institution with John to find his mother, and then she's running out of the hallway, and she runs into the hallway and sees T-800, and it's a slow motion shot as she sees it, because in her eyes it's there to kill her, like from the first one. Oh god, it's happening again, we're all gonna die. And it's a really cool slow motion shot of her like stumbling to the floor while this big T-800 just powers over, and to me that just symbolises how she's still very, very afraid, because basically, if you're a cinematographer, if you want to make someone scary, you shoot them at a low angle looking down, because that just symbolises, oh, I'm bigger than you, like, physically and symbolically. So that shot to me is amazing, because it's basically like, yes, we still exist, we can kill you, but it's actually the opposite. He's there to protect this time, where it's the T-1000's there to kill. Bloody hell, sorry about that. The T-1000's there to kill, whereas she's still afraid of him. And then he just is very slowly puts out his hand and says the amazing, brilliant line, "Gone with me if you want to live." So everything they did in Terminator 2 has been trying to replicate the slow motion shots, the cool fight scenes, and they've tried. One film I noticed they're trying to replicate it the most in is Transformers: Age of Extinction, which was a steaming pile of shit because they had slow motion shots. Well, it didn't need to be slow motion shots, but I just think that's down to Michael Bay being a sexist prick. Because every time a girl is running, he has to do that in a slow motion shot. Because I think he just saves that for his own personal spank bank. But in Terminator, they do everything right in the way of an action film. First of all, you got a strong female role. I mean, Sarah Connor, she's brilliant. I want her to lead a rebellion because she will do it brilliantly. And I think that was also the reason she's a very strong female role. It's inspired by Star Wars from Leia. So she's got a lot of Leia in her, I feel.
And Ellen Ripley.
Oh, yeah, definitely. She's got a lot of Ellen Ripley in her. And I just love the relationship that builds between the T-800 and John, because the T-800 is obviously like this emotionless robot, but towards the end he spent so much time around John and John teaching him all these things that he's kind of developed a sense of humour and emotion, like in the fight scene in the factory where he's got his arm ripped off and he's like, I need a vacation. That is brilliant. And early in the film, John's crying and he asks him why, and in the end, before he dies, he wipes the tears away and goes, I now know why you cry, but I never can. It's just like, no, don't die.
And then the thumb.
Oh, the thumb, as he slowly descends into the lava, the sacrifice, like, that is brilliant, because it shows, like, maybe he's developed emotion towards his kid, but he knows the right thing to do. He has to be destroyed in order to save the world from Skynet. But if you watch the fucking movies after that, that's a load of bollocks, but let's not go into them because they're piles of shit. I hate those films.
Terminator 2 could not be made the same way it was then now.
Oh no, definitely not.
Because that scene with all the roses and all that.
Yes.
If a filmmaker tried to do that now, there'd be so many different cuts in like just a minute.
Oh yeah.
There would be no iconic sequence. The reason these sequences are so iconic is they know when to rein it in.
Yeah, they know when to cut and they know when to just leave it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan of like quite lingering shots when they're needed, of course. And that shot where he's walking up with the roses and he just pulls out the shotgun all in slow motion, brilliant. As you said, if they did that today, it would be cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting.
Close up on a rose petal.
Yeah, it'd be close up to the rose petal, to the gun. It'd be a POV shot of the gun. It'd be a POV shot of John O'Connor. Like, oh, I'm so scared. It'd be too much cutting where it didn't need that, and it just did it brilliantly. And you kind of got that sense of realism in that scene. Because if you just cut, you won't feel connected to that scene. Because you'll just notice it's cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. They're just going to try and build tension, but they just had so much tension because you felt connected to John in that moment, just slowly seeing this big T-800 walking up and then revealing this shotgun. Because if you hadn't watched the trailer before this film, you would still think he's there to kill you, because they did kind of spoil the plot in the trailer, which they did again with Terminator Genesis, because they can't fucking spell that right. But let's just... it's hard to talk about Terminator because I have slated James Cameron in the past, but I think he did well with this one. But then I think he did too well to the point where he felt like he needed to do more with it, which they just really didn't. But one thing I really, really do respect about T2 is that the fact that the CGI they used then still holds up today. You could put the T2 against the new Terminator, and it would be very, very, very hard to tell the difference. And it feels like a movie experience watching it.
Yeah.
It feels like you're watching a movie, and I'm going to get more into that later with my final film I want to talk about, because there's a reason I chose all three of these films. But I'll talk about that later, because it kind of combines the reason I chose all three films. And it is, the film I haven't seen, well, I have seen now, but the one I chose to watch for this podcast is also part of that category as well.
Yeah.
So you want to take it away with your film now? This is your final one.
Yeah, it's my final one for the original three. Scream.
Oh yeah, I adore Scream.
Scream. I've got so much to say about Scream that I'm probably not going to actually cover about 75% of points that I would love to make.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Scream was a moment in time.
Oh.
Some films just kind of happen at the right time, and you can't really replicate that again.
It came out really well at the right time. There's just no...
Yeah.
If it was released now, it would not have the affection it got.
People would think it's fucking stupid. They'd think it's fucking daft.
Oh yeah, if it was released now, it would bomb terribly.
Yeah, it would get fucking ripped. This came out at the right time. The climate for horror films at the time, very, very minimal throughout the 90s, to be quite honest. Slasher horror movies had died. Nothing.
And they kind of became this instant classic, so didn't they? To the point where you could talk about them in the 90s. That's why this film, when it came out, it worked.
Yeah, and this changed the landscape of horror films for like the rest of the decade, because after Scream you'd get I Know What You Did Last Summer, you get Cherry Falls, you get films like Ginger Snaps, and you get films like Urban Legend, and some of those films pretty awful, but you can watch them and they're quite fun. There's an endearing quality to I Know What You Did Last Summer, even though I acknowledge it's not that great a film, and it's by the same writer as Scream as well.
I'm okay with how I can't even pronounce it. What's it called? I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah. I mean, it's not. It's okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly functional.
But it's not Scream.
Scream was like a lightning in a bottle moment.
Also, it was. I wouldn't say it was a parody, but it kind of was a parody.
Yeah, that's why Scary Movie didn't work.
Exactly,
because it's trying to parody a film that is so self-referential and so on the nose.
Because the whole point of Scream is, they're killing because they like watching horror movies and they're inspired by these killers.
Yeah, and they think that they can use that as their
scapegoat.
Yeah. So there's quite a social conscience to this film as well, which I think people might overlook. This film is hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious, but for the right reasons. Yeah. It's not hilarious because it's bad. It's hilarious because it works.
Yeah. Take away all the horror. This is a fine teen comedy on its own.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, you've got Rose McGowan, you've got Nev Campbell, and you've got like Skeet Ulrich and Matt Lillard. They were like synonymous with 90s. Like Nev Campbell and Skeet Ulrich, the same year this came out, were also in The Craft, which I talked about earlier. Matt Lillard went on to be an SLC punk, and Rose McGowan, just synonymous with the 90s. Her and like Winona Ryder are the first two that I always think about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I just forgot Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, how could we forget Drew?
The opening 10 minutes of this film,
they're iconic.
It's horror movie magic. It's not just horror movie magic, actually. It's some of the best filmmaking in general.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
Wes Craven. I can't believe it. Talking about too many Wes's this week. Wes Craven. So I have quite a personal connection with Wes Craven's work. Nightmare on Elm Street was the film that made me want to make films.
Yeah.
So
you're more of a horror fan than me. I will watch a horror and I will enjoy it. I won't, say it was the best time of my life, but I enjoy a horror. I enjoy a horror when I'm in the mood for a horror, basically.
Yeah. I don't think you have to be in the mood for Scream, though.
Oh, no, definitely not. That's why it's amazing. It works as a comedy and a horror brilliantly.
Yeah, and it really did change the landscape of horror, and maybe to a slight extent some teen comedy as well, because then you get like the Scary Movie films and all the parodies of self-referential films. And what I don't understand is people who really like the TV show Scream Queens now, but don't like Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer or any of those films.
Isn't there a TV series of Scream now?
Yeah, there is. I didn't watch any of it.
I haven't seen any of it because I just don't think it will work as a TV series.
No. And the amount of horror movie references in Scream is off the chain.
Normally, as student filmmakers ourselves, we are told not to do movie references in films or make films about a film because it doesn't work. No. But in Scream, they made it work brilliantly.
Yeah, the janitor who was wearing like the Freddy Krueger. It's like, okay, you can go home, Freddy.
Yeah,
and it's like a lot of the references are really on the nose, but then there's also some more subtle ones. I think you have to be. You don't have to be a horror fan to love this film, but you do have to be a horror fan to fully appreciate everything that's going on in Scream, because this is both a self-referential deconstruction of the horror genre, but it also subverts the cliches as well.
Like in the Drew Barrymore scene where he's got her boyfriend timed up and he's asking them questions about Halloween, Friday the 13th, and that's like the one horror movie franchise that I know quite well. And he's like, what's the name of the
killer in the first
film? And she's like, Jason. It's like, it
was his mother.
It was his mother, yeah. So like, you don't have to be extremely into horrors to appreciate Scream, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, and also Matt Lillard and Skeet Ulrich's character, which turns out to be the killers, genuinely very sinister.
Oh,
Like-
yeah, he freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, when they're stabbing each other,
Oh god, that scene.
and when he's on the phone, he's like, "My mom's gonna be so mad at me," because
Yeah.
she's all like, I called the police."
Yeah, like I like how his main concern is his mum's going to be pissed at him.
Yeah,
not
while
the
he's
police.
bleeding out on this table, and he's like, the deaths here are so violent as well. They're so
Oh,
brutal.
yeah.
Like the television screen, the television on the head, and
What's the line I really like? Horror movies don't make the psychos; it does make the psychos
it's more creative. Yeah,
Which is it's quite because we're both in the film industry. We do get the question: do films make people violent? Do they make serial killers? Do they make people kill?
it's such a hard one to.
It's such a hard one to answer, especially when, like, in this film, they're kind of saying, yes, it does, but at the same time, they're also saying, no, it doesn't. It just makes us more creative.
They're saying that
but
the media creates like a narrative where people think they can use it as a scapegoat.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because I always believe if you're going to kill, you always have that intention in your head. You have that thought in your head. If you watch a movie, fair enough, that might
exacerbate.
It might, make you want to do it more, but you've already got that in your head. You've already got the intention to kill in your head.
I think it's if you get really desensitized to violent media, that's when.
So if you're going to use like movies and games as like, oh, they cause violence, then I want to know what video game Hitler was playing, what video game Genghis Khan was playing. Like, seriously,
people have been killing each other for fucking ever.
Exactly. If you're going to blame movies on violence, if you're going to try and ban movies on violence, then you should probably ban the Bible as well, because that's called more murder than anything.
I'm not saying outright that movies won't maybe cause violence for some people.
I'm not saying they don't.
I'm saying it's a very complicated issue.
It is. It's hard to say yes and no to it. It's one of those things that has been debated for many years.
That's one of the things where I go, I can see both sides.
Yeah,
because I think you kind of have to with
something like this.
topic.
You have no choice.
Yeah,
and Scream kind of like also handles that as well.
Yeah,
at the same time mocking it, and that's why I love it. There's just so much I actually adore about Scream. So much. This what's the one scene? The locker room scene where she's like, "Oh, take off the mask, stop being silly." It fucking kills her.
Yeah,
it's brutal. And
don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
Oh, no, that's scary. Don't do that. You're better than that. What's the like where he quotes Psycho? I really appreciate that part.
Yeah, and he kind of actually looks like the original actor from Psycho as well.
He looks like Norman Bates when he says it as well, which it just adds to it. But he does give me like the freaky vibe looking at it. But I also think that Scream set precedents for all slashes ever, so everyone suspects the boyfriend. And I don't know if what the fuck, I can't remember what it's called. It's like it's a slasher about sorority sisters at a university.
Sorority Row.
Yes, that's it. That's very Scream as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of slashes, I would say, are very Scream.
I think they are.
I think I should watch more slashes. I quite enjoy slashes.
Yeah, I think you just have to know where to look, I think.
Yeah, some are just fucking awful, and some are like, quite entertaining.
Yeah, you get something like Silent Night, Deadly Night. You go, oh, what are you doing? Can't believe that was an actual franchise. There were like 4 or 5 of those films.
Was they?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. See, horror movies kind of aren't my thing I have a lot of knowledge about. Unless it's Halloween and Friday the 13th, I don't really know much about them. And I didn't really care for the Halloween remakes.
And actually, right after Scream, there was a new Halloween film called H2O, which also tried to be very self-referential. Yes, it did. Wasn't that the one where they all stayed in his house when he was a kid, and it's like a Big Brother kind of environment, and then he just turns up and kills them all? I think that's that one. Or was that Scary Movie? Or was that Halloween 10? That might have been Resurrection, I'm not sure.
There's just so many.
It's been a while since I watched H2O that I can't quite...
The thing is, there's just so many Halloweens, you just don't know where to start. I mean, those films just went on forever to the point where they actually started naming Halloween. Now, seriously, just give us your money. That is just so meta. Oh, God. I think we should move to my final.
Yes, the film you hadn't seen before.
No.
Oh, wait.
Not on that yet.
Oh, we're not there yet.
Jesus. I'm here to talk about Pulp Fiction. Yay! Thing is, we have very mixed opinions when it comes to Quentin Tarantino. He's I wouldn't say he's a hit or miss. It's some of his films you're like, you could have done that better. We covered this when we talked about Jackie Brown. But Pulp Fiction, it's so art house to me and amazing to the point where I don't think it would have been good if it was in linear order.
No.
If they put it in linear order, I don't think it would work. It's the non-linear part of it that draws you in, because it cuts from like different time parts where you want to know what happens to what's his face, but you got to finish this, and this part is still quite interesting. and there's just so many iconic scenes from that film alone that just make me so happy. The scene I love and I mean adore the most, and this is kind of like I always want to live up to the scene when I make a short film, and that is the scene where they go to the 50s diner.
Yeah.
That's my favourite scene for the whole film.
That's
the
my favourite
dialogue
scene as well, actually.
The dialogue in that is just so simple yet so beautiful, because Quentin says he finds it hard to write scripts, but he finds it easy to write dialogue. And that scene alone, I absolutely adore it. I love Uma Thurman. I absolutely adore Uma Thurman, and what's his name?
John Travolta.
John Travolta. I adore John Travolta. I don't know why. For some reason, I think I should hate him, but I don't. But when they're playing 50s characters in a 50s diner, that
It's
speaks
that
to me so much.
1950s Americana aesthetic that I have a weird kinship for.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love the 50s Americana look. It's my favourite look.
The aesthetically, that was like a really
just to look at.
Yeah.
And it was just so beautifully shot, because it captured the awkwardness and then like the non-awkwardness, and then the dance scene was brilliant. I even believe Fall Out Boy made a song about it.
Yes, they did.
Dance like Uma Thurman. But Pulp Fiction, to me, this is the reason I chose these three films. It's because you feel like you're watching an actual film. Now, it's very hard to describe this, but I'm gonna give it a go. Right, when you watch a film, you feel like you are watching. I know I'm gonna bring up Jurassic World again, but I didn't feel like that was a film. I felt like that was a video game I couldn't play. I feel like about a lot of films, like London Has Fallen, Olympus Has Fallen. They could be video games, those type of films. Whereas Pulp Fiction, Jurassic Park, and Terminator 2, they genuinely feel like I'm getting a film experience from it. So a lot of films these days just don't give you that kind of experience when you watch them. Like any Transformers film will never, ever, ever, ever give you that experience. Pulp Fiction, you genuinely feel like you're in like a theatre watching a movie, watching a film. And, mainly these films were filmed on actual film reel back then, and it adds to that feel, like it's got that look.
Well, Quentin doesn't like to shoot on digital, does he?
No. So, you definitely get a filmic kind of sense when you watch these three films, and especially with Pulp Fiction. There's one thing I like to do when I create a short film is chapter it, and he does that brilliantly in his films, and Pulp Fiction is amazing for it. And I love all these subplots that coincide but also mingle together at the same time. And Pulp Fiction, it's created so many pop culture references these days. I mean, in Britain we have that fucking advert on TV where Winston Wolfe comes on and sorts stuff out. But Pulp Fiction to me is in my top 10 and it's in my top 5. But there's no reason this is not a good film. If you tell me Pulp Fiction is a bad film, I'm going to list 5 reasons why you're an idiot.
Yeah, it's fine if you don't like it, but surely you must acknowledge that.
Yeah, you got to respect it because it is just such a unique work of art.
There's a quote by David Fincher. Where he says, "I make films and I make movies."
Yeah.
I think you know what I mean by the difference.
Yes, definitely.
Pulp Fiction is both a film and a movie. It's got that art house film experience to it, but it's also got that entertaining sit back and watch a movie.
Yes, definitely. Because I do feel like there's a difference between film and movie.
Yeah.
Age of Extinction, yeah, Transformers, movie. Pulp Fiction, film. Terminator 2, film. London Has Fallen, movie.
Yeah.
A movie is something you just sit back and like mildly entertain yourself
Turn your
with.
brain off.
A film is something you engage with, which I love about these films. Because they did it brilliantly, and the dialogue in Pulp Fiction today is it's at the top standard. The hamburger scene, that is another. If I had to rate scenes, the dancing with Uma Thurman scene 1, the burger scene 2.
Yeah, same for me as well.
Because I can't eat a burger without referencing it.
Yeah,
I will always take a bite of a burger. That is a tasty burger.
And does he look like a bitch?
Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you.
And the wallet with bad motherfucker on. Now you can buy one.
Yeah, you
like
can
HMV.
buy one. Yeah. When he flipped the table, that wasn't in the script.
All right.
So the actor's shock is real shock when he shoots the other guy. I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? Oh, Samuel L. Jackson. Can I just hug you for at least 10 minutes, please?
He's a diamond geezer.
He is a lad. He is a top lad.
Love Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson is a legend beyond legend.
Yeah, he's up there with Christopher Walken.
Oh,
and
definitely.
All those types of people that you associate.
And speaking of Christopher Walken, for fuck's sake, he's even in Pulp Fiction, and that's another one of my favourite scenes. Like you said earlier, with the Terminator 2 hallway scene, if that was done today, it would be a cut.
Yeah.
They just left that camera fucking rolling, and they did it amazingly.
They'd probably even try and throw in the flashbacks as well, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, they'll do flashbacks in that scene. They didn't need it. That scene was fucking brilliant. And I could just listen to Christopher Walken talk all day, because he's got such an amazing voice, and so unique.
You just never know what he's going to do.
You just never know what he's going to say. Like, I hear this uncomfortable piece of metal up my ass. 2 years, like, what? Okay, you're amazing. Hug me, please. Oh, I just want to shake his hand and not stop. Oh, but Pulp Fiction, every scene in it is just iconic. Because you remember them all. Even if you, like, forget them, the second someone mentions it, you're like, oh, yeah. The Gimp scene. Oh, God, the Gimp scene. And then there's the scene where John Travolta's character dies.
Yeah.
And then he's back in the next scene, because it's all non-linear.
Yeah.
And I think I spoke on this podcast about the film theory about it. Like, it's Marcellus' soul in the briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite like that film theory. And Quentin Tarantino even himself said in an interview, it's whatever the viewer wants it to be. So, to me, it's his soul. And, I love Vincent Wolf in it as well. Guys, I'm seeing a picture in my head. It's a cab ride. Brilliant. And every time Samuel L. Jackson does that speech before he kills someone.
Yes.
That alone. I think if they started with any other scene, it wouldn't have been as good as it is. It was going to be fucking great. But of course they started with that amazing scene. Brilliant. Can I have some of your beverage to wash down this tasty burger? Oh, I want to watch Pulp Fiction now. I genuinely want to watch Pulp Fiction. I might watch Pulp Fiction tonight, just because it's fucking amazing. Like, we have slated Quentin in the past, but like, well done for Pulp Fiction. And then he released Jackie Brown. Was it the same year?
It's 3 years after.
3 years after, but quite close still within movie terms. But well done, seriously. What year did Pulp Fiction came out? I believe
1994.
1994, yeah. So it's 1 year older than me. Speaking of stuff that's going to be older than me, next time on our next podcast, I will be 21. Oh, I'm getting old. It's going to be my birthday. I don't know how I feel about this.
I've already got your present.
Oh, God. I don't know if I should be scared. I don't like that grin on your face. Oh, okay. Shall we talk about the films that we have not seen from the 90s, but we have to talk about for this podcast now? Do you want to go first?
So the one I chose
I've not
was
seen it.
Dark City. This is directed by the same guy that did The Crow.
Oh!
This is the film he did afterwards. And you can tell it's from the director of The Crow because there's a similar aesthetic. I think if you like The Crow, and if you like Tim Burton's Batman films, and even to a lesser extent The Matrix, which some people say The Matrix might have been influenced by Dark City.
Really?
I'd say if you like those films, this is worth your time. I think this is quite decent, actually.
I really do like The Crow.
Yeah, I think this is pretty decent. I think this is a pretty decent follow-up. This is a neo-noir.
Oh, cool.
But with science fiction elements.
Right.
So like when
I think I'm going to like this.
Yeah,
then.
when we were talking about Her, we said it was a love story at the front and it was a sci-fi in the background.
Yeah.
This is a murky neo-noir throughout the whole thing with science fiction elements interspersed, like interweaving with the neo-noir.
That's brilliant.
So this is Jennifer Connelly in it, another 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
another
Jennifer
90s
Connelly.
babe.
And Keith Sutherland.
Oh, God.
Now,
what a ledge.
The sci-fi element is this underground, like an underground race called the Strangers, and they have the power to reassemble bits of the city and to alter people's minds and personalities and to stop
I
time.
can see why people think this is Matrix is inspired by it now.
And they have the ability to like stop time altogether. And I'll go through the plot.
I would love to have that power.
That'd
Just to pause time.
Yeah. So the story is there's a main character called John Murdoch, and he's an amnesiac man.
Amnesiac man.
He's amnesiac man, and he wakes up in this room with a dead body of, I think it's either a stripper or a prostitute.
Oh, we've all had that.
Yeah. Oh, we've been there. Stag do. And then he immediately becomes the key suspect in like a series of these types of murders that are like cult types of murders because there's these like
Right.
symbols painted on the body, and the rest of the film is Murdoch's attempts to clear his name while he's on the run from the police. All the while, there's this mysterious underground thing. So I'm not going to ruin the big reveal in the film because you haven't seen it, and I'm guessing you're quite interested now.
I am quite interested.
There's a sort of twist in it that's very interesting as to Murdoch's relationship with the strangers and all the neo-noir and sci-fi elements going off at once. That's mostly what I've got to say.
That's cool. I'm quite interested.
Keep it simple just to keep people interested.
I want to see this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely.
I might watch that after I watch Pulp Fiction tonight.
It's a fairly decent 100 minutes of your time.
Well, the film I chose that I haven't seen from the 90s, which I watched for this podcast, was Goodfellas. Now, I'm not really one for, crime films per se, but I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it, and the fact that it's based on a true story to me is quite cool. But you know how you said you acknowledged that Lord of the Rings are good, it's just not for you?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Goodfellas. It's a really good film, it's just not for me. So if you're into crime films, then you're going to love it. One thing I do like about it is the way they captured the mob feel very well.
Yeah.
And the way the characters felt, because he wanted to be a gangster all his life, and he was a gangster, but then he got all his problems. He went to prison. He ended up cheating on his wife, and he got addicted to coke. And he wanted to be a gangster his whole life, but he wasn't like a full gangster because the way the mob works, you have to like have full Italian heritage to be made, as they call it. Be a part of the mob, the actual family, not just one of their little minions. But because he had Irish blood, he could never be made. And there's a scene where his friend is about to be made, but he's actually there to be executed because of something he did to another crime family. So it captures a lot of emotion in this film. There's a lot of emotion, and I generally watched it rooting for some of the side characters more than the main one, because he came across a bit of a prick to me. But that's just because of my own views, because I don't like people that cheat on their girlfriends and wives. I think it's the lowest of the low.
That's what sets us apart from other gangster films, isn't it? That
Yeah.
you actually care about these very questionable, dodgy.
I wanted these
personalities.
people to fucking succeed, and there's some scenes which really captured the how brutal organised crime can
Any
be.
scene with Joe Pesci in this film,
Exactly.
he is volatile as
Every
fuck.
time he came onto the screen, he stole the act away. He was the main attention. Even he's just a side character.
Yeah.
He took it, like when he killed that kid bringing him drinks because he just told him to go fuck himself. Because the previous week he shot him in the foot. That to me was brilliant. And when he comes into the party and there's that other mobster from the other family, and he used to shine his shoes for him, but now he's like grown up, and he insults him, but he returns later and he absolutely brutally kicks his face in and then stabs the shit out of him in the car. Before that, he's actually eating in his mother's with the body in his trunk. It captures the feel you would expect from a mob family, how close they are, and there's even jokes in it where he marries the Jewish girl and he's like, oh, they introduced me to the family, and I swear down, every lad was called Peter or Paulie, and all the women were called Miria or something like that. It's quite funny. I enjoyed it. It's just, I'm not one for crime films.
Yeah, no, neither am I.
But it has kind of made me want to watch The Departed. But I've seen many videos rating The Departed, saying it's really good, and I've always had a kind of interest in The Departed. I've just never taken the time out to watch it. So maybe after Pulp Fiction and Dark City, I'm going to watch The Departed tonight. I'm going to have a busy night. That's really all I really have to say on Goodfellas. It was good.
Yeah,
Good fellas in it.
gangster films, not usually my type of thing.
Nah.
This is the best one though.
I do like the way they dress, like the 50s
Yeah.
kind of look. I just really like that look, as I said when I was talking about Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. When it comes to the sprawling gangster epics, everybody goes, well, is The Godfather better or is Goodfellas? I personally think Goodfellas is a better film
Yeah,
for
I'm
me.
not seeing Godfather.
I don't really care that much for The Godfather. I can tell that they're good. I just think they're not
I've
for
heard they're
me.
good. I might watch them after I've watched all these other films tonight.
So, Goodfellas to me is everything that I wanted from The Godfather. So,
Okay.
yeah, I
I'll
don't know.
have to give them both.
And
all a
obviously
watch.
the cast is tremendous.
Oh,
with
brilliant
Robert De Niro, Joe
casting.
Pesci, Ray Liotta.
I love Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
He's one of my favourite actors. Speaking of favourite films that I've ever watched ever, not because this is Bad Movie Club now. If you've followed this podcast for a while, you're aware of what we do. At the end of every podcast, we watch a really bad film and talk about it. What film did we watch this week, Elliot? It's okay. It's okay. Oh, Elliot, don't cry. Please don't cry.
Oh. So here's what happened. Yesterday I went to college. I came back very exhausted. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep and then I'll wake up and I'll feel really refreshed for once. Just as I was easing into my slumber, it occurred to me that I had not yet watched Super Mario Bros. The movie, which I had suggested for Bad Movie Club. And immediately got up and watched it.
You should have gone to sleep.
This morning, before I left to come here, I looked out my window and I shook my head despondently, hoping that I would never have to see the sunshine ever again.
Why, Elliot? What happened last night?
Because Super Mario Bros. The movie is the worst film I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. From all the films we've watched for Bad Movie Club, that's the worst.
This is the worst film I've ever seen.
Right. So, Samurai Cop, The Knowing, and Blood Car, I've got nothing compared to this, basically, what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm going to tell you how I first came across this film. I was at my sister's house, and her ex-husband decided, this is when they were still together, it'd be a bit weird if it was there right now, but they were still together at this time, he made us watch this film, and he told me it was a really good film. He fucking lied. If you're even not familiar with Mario lore,
I'm not.
but even if you're not, you know the main princess is Peach.
Yeah.
In this film, it's Daisy.
Why?
Why? And first of all, you know what the Mushroom Kingdom looks like, don't you?
Yes.
Very bright and vibrant, colourful and lovely place. You would love to see it on the big screen. What did it look like in this film, Elliot?
It's like a massive tumour.
He's not joking. It looks like a massive... It's like a fucking city from... It looks like the city from Blade Runner got cancer.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, but it does. Like, there's, like, fungus everywhere. And, like, yeah, Mario is known for mushrooms. Not like this, right? And the way Mario's known for jumping as well, isn't he? Because in Japan, he was originally meant to be called Jumpman, but then renamed him to Mario. And in the film, you have these stupid fucking boots that make them jump. And also,
moon boots.
Yeah, that's what they're called, moon boots. And even though this is a Mario film, I feel like Luigi takes the fucking main spot.
Oh yeah, John Leguizamo. I was watching a video of his name's Bob Hoskins, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins was talking about what he went through on the set of Mario on Super Mario Bros. And he said he got stabbed 4 times, he got electrocuted, and he nearly drowned. And all of those things are preferable to watching this fucking film.
In fact, I'd rather go for all of those films and watch this film.
Oh, do you remember this reference? Trust the fungus.
Right, Mario, in the games, he eats them, I don't know if he fucking eats them, but he gets the mushrooms to fucking change size to rescue Princess Peach, not Daisy, for fuck's sake. And Yoshi's in this film, and he looks like a reject from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he looks like one of those really shit plastic dinosaur toys that you would
Yes,
buy.
he looks exactly like that. You know when you go to fucking
But like
Poundland?
pumped up full of steroids.
Yeah.
And
You know when you go to Poundland and you see those stupid little plastic toys that have been made in China and got toxic paint on them? That's what Yoshi looked like. This film is, if you're a fan of Mario, then no way you should watch this film because it is basically AIDS.
I mean, you know that Twitter account, Medieval Reactions?
Yes.
It's like old medieval paintings where like someone's getting stabbed but their face is like all neutral.
Yeah.
I felt like that the whole time.
Yes.
I felt like I was getting stabbed, but I was so deep into awfulness that I just kind of went, oh, this is like a mild inconvenience, really.
But yeah, basically. Oh, and they do get the costumes from the games, but they get them for all the wrong reasons. Bowser isn't even a giant turtle in it, is he?
I forgot he was in this.
Yeah, Bowser's in it. Doesn't even look like Bowser. He just looks like a guy with a really weird head. And then the Goombas are in it, and Goombas are mushrooms that try to kill you. And in this, they look like giant lizards with tiny heads.
Oh, are they in an elevator when there's that scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's not dancing or
the
something.
dinosaur heads in suits. Ew, so weird.
It's like they just took like the look of Mario and made a really bad film. It's just no redeeming feature. It's nothing related to Mario in it. Oh no, they have like the little bomb wind up things and a few little tiny references which aren't even done properly.
I've gotten very good at repressing traumatic events in my life, and by the end of the week, I will have erased Super Mario Bros. The movie from my memory. I will put this film into the darkest recesses of my mind so that it can only be unearthed by the most skilled of psychologists.
I need a fucking psychologist after watching this film.
Go and tell me.
I am, yeah. Fucking hell. Tell you. Right, I would want to watch The Room mixed with Samurai Cop just for banter after watching this, because this film was awful. It made me want to, rip my eye out of a spoon and flick it out the window at a cyclist going by. This film was so bad it made me want to go vegan. And I hate vegans.
Oh, here it goes.
That's all I'm saying on vegans this week. Oh, do you have anything else to say about Mario?
Oh God, I don't even know. I want to get that personal on this podcast.
I thought we should shoot it in the face there.
I'm trying to think if there's something.
Oh, we're going to be here a while because this film was just basically cancer.
We'll end it there, shall we?
Yes. So yeah, this is the end of the podcast. You know what? Well, I'm still at ironic username 9 on Twitter, and you're.
I'm on the internet.
Yeah,
it's all right. You don't have to.
He's Spence Complains.
Yeah, you can leave. You can leave me.
Don't tweet him.
Don't tweet me
because he hates tweets. But that's all we have to say. I would like to say one thing. The trailer for something I have been working on has been released.
Yes.
An amazing director I work under called Damien Cage, and he does listen to the podcast. So Damien, I absolutely adore you.
Diamond Geezer.
He released a trailer for the first official trailer for Case Files. If you want to look it up, go to tryselffilms.com. It's on there. You'll have to sign up, but it's free. Don't worry. And watch the trailer. Damien, you're amazing. You've put a lot of work into this. I respect you so much. You have done amazing by Case Files. Seriously, guys, watch this trailer. Give it some love.
It's Damien. It's the fucking man.
He is the man. Have you got anything to say?
When I watched The Happening, and I said that suicide might be an option.
Oh God, here we go.
This makes me think mass killing is in my blood now.